Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of 999. I do believe this is about where we left off last time. You know, Lotus saying she refused to do whatever Silver Flash here decided he wanted to do. So let's continue on with what we were doing. Let's see how it goes. No, I'm not going to end up like him. Him? You mean the Ninth Man? Of course. Who else? In his mind's eye, Junpei saw the corpse again. The dark, reddish-black pool of blood. The scattered pieces of flesh. You know, he was in pretty rough shape, I'll be honest. Organs strewn against the floor like the blossoming of a grotesque flower. The explosion that had torn through his body had been powerful. The Ninth Man's neck had been twisted at an odd angle. Junpei suspected that the detonation had thrown him against the wall. Half of his face was crushed, and the other half was covered in blood. Okay, so from the description of this, he was in the worst shape. Okay, most of his abdomen had been emptied, either by the explosion or by gravity. He had landed on his back, and stark white ribs jutted out of his chest, like the legs of some sort of macrebi crab. However you say that. Corpse Party's description, still worse. You hear sound effects. It's awful. Corpse Party still is the most brutal deaths I've heard. This is kind of getting there, though. Junpei felt something flip in his stomach. I think he just screwed up. Eyebrows went up, and Santa continued. He probably set off some sort of trap, and that killed him. I'm not going to screw up like that. I'm getting out of here alive. Okay, why are you laughing, Snake? Whatever Snake was laughing at, Santa did not find particularly humorous. What's so goddamn funny? Oh, my apologies. You were just so very confident. I couldn't help myself. What the fuck? I think you've mistaken the situation. Huh? The Ninth Man's death. It had nothing to do with a trap, or at least not that sort of trap you imagined it did. Then, he broke one of Zero's rules. That was why he died. Quite simple, if you think about it. You're weird, you. You still don't? Alright. How about you take a moment and think back to what Zero said? Specifically, what did he say about the number of people? He said only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door, right? And after that, you've forgotten the relevant part. What did Zero say? Well, seeing as I kind of forget, actually. Santa furrowed his brow in thought. I think Junpei thought back. Zero said that only 2 people go through, that everyone who verified had to go. Everyone. All those who enter must leave, and all who enter must contribute, right? I think it was something like that. Whatever it was, it means that groups of less than 3 or more than 5 can't go through. Bingo. That is correct. A gold star for you, Junpei. Snake inclined his head toward Junpei. The Ninth Man, however, broke that rule. He tried to pass through a numbered door by himself. That was why he was executed. Then Zero's watching us from somewhere? Making sure we don't break any rules? Oh, I'm not sure of that. Why not? Because this execution system is entirely automatic. You didn't notice? There's no need for him to monitor us. Okay, I'm going to have to close that OneDrive. Just ignore that. What do you mean? Snake looked at 7 with what could only be described as pity inside. Very well. I see it must be... Oh, it must be me, he tells you. I've waited long enough, I suppose. I had hoped Zero might spare me the trouble, but that seems increasingly unlikely. He couldn't see them, of course, but perhaps Snake sensed the confused eyes upon him. When Ace spoke, he gave words to everyone else's thoughts. Do you know something? Well, I know a great many things, but yes. What is it you know? Here. Snake removed a card from the pocket of his jacket. With a flourish, he presented it to Ace, who took a close look at it and spoke. Come on now. What's the point of giving me this? Give me that! Santa snatched the card from Ace, but his expression of disgust quickly turned to one of confusion. Huh? The hell is this? 7 tugged it out of Santa's hands. I see. The card went from 7 to Lotus, from Lotus to June, and finally to Junpei. He looked at it and understood. This is Braille. Braille, the written language of the blind. The card was covered with small, embossed bumps. Junpei could recognize it, but he certainly couldn't read it. Sorry, guys, I can't read this. Junpei handed the card back to Snake, who nodded at him with a small smirk. Okay, that was fun. What's so important about that card? I found it in my pocket. I can only assume it's a message from Zero. From Zero. A message? But what does it say? Suddenly everyone was crowding around Snake, desperate to hear what the message said. "Can you please tell me, blind man? I am kind of curious too." Santa especially looked to see if he were about to grab hold of Snake and shake the answers from him. Fuck, that almost fucked me up. Snake shake, you know. Snake raised his hand. "Calm down now. No need to panic. You don't need to force me. I'll read it." Genpai swallowed hard and waited for him to start. He was not the only one. Presently, Snake began to read, his voice calm. His fingers glided over the tiny bumps as he spoke. Bracelet number 2. Since you are not blessed with sight, I shall bless you, and only you, with information. I shall tell you of the functionality of the red, of the dead, and the bracelet. The red is the recognition device. It'll verify your number. Beside every numbered door, you will find a red. The dead is the deactivation device. It does exactly as it says. Once you have passed through the numbered door, you must use the dead to stop the detonator in your bracelet. But perhaps you are wondering, what does the detonator do? I'm afraid this may be something of a surprise. I have placed a small bomb inside of you. And the people whom you are about to meet, you swallowed it when you were unconscious. I have no doubt that by the time you read this note, the bomb will have passed your stomach and found its way into your small intestine. In other words, you will be unable to regurgitate it. I suggest you do not try. As I mentioned before, the bracelet on your left hand contains a detonator. Think of it as a remote fuse, or timer, for the bomb in your body. There is only one condition that will cause it to detonate. The condition is that you enter a numbered door. Once you have done so, the timer will activate, no matter who you may be. You will have 81 seconds. If, after that time, the detonator has not been deactivated, it will send a signal to the bomb in your body, instructing it to explode. In order to deactivate the detonator, every person who verified the number at the red must also verify their numbers at the dead. Once all numbers have been verified by the dead, you need only pull the lever at its side, and the countdown will cease. Anyone who does not verify their number at the red will find themselves unable to verify their number at the dead. That is to say, if you should pass through a numbered door without first verifying your number at the red, in 81 seconds you will be dead. You must also keep in mind that the numbered doors will close automatically after 9 seconds have passed, so as long as the door is open, the dead will not function. You would do well to remember this. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1, you escape from this ship. 2, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confinements of the ship, or detects that your wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it'll shut down automatically. There is no other way to remove your bracelet. If you attempt to force it off or disable the detonator, the bomb within you will immediately explode. This is all the information which I can impart you with. How you choose to use it is for you to decide. If used wisely, you can eliminate those who might be a danger to you. For a time, you'd be able to control your fate. I wish you the best of luck. And just like that, okay, cool. Snake finished reading and carefully returned the card to his pocket. The message had been lengthy, but its meaning was clear. Only those who verified their numbers at the red could pass through the numbered doors. Teams could not increase or decrease their numbers. The reds, deads, and bracelets enforced the rules. They were judge, jury, and executioner. In defiance of Zero's suggestions, both Santa and Seven put fingers down on their throats and began to gag. The wrists stiffened. Some touched their stomachs. Some simply stared at their bracelets. Genpai gingerly touched his stomach. There was a bomb inside his body. The thought of it made him queasy. His stomach felt oddly hollow and his legs were weak. Why had Zero designed such a ludicrous game? I think there's a cat in here. So I can verify that there's a cat in here for some reason. Come out. Why there's a cat in here, I do not know. Someone's calling me. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to decline that, actually. Okay. I'll have to get that cat out. Wait, Genpai looked over at the others. Alright, I'm going to ask one more time. Do any of you know anything about Zero? There was a silent. Oh, they were all silent. Each person waiting to hear what the others would say. Finally, Santa spoke. Okay, sorry for that jump cut, guys. I had to get that cat out. You know. It was a problem. Anyway. Finally, Santa spoke. Actually, I saw him. I saw Zero when I got grabbed. I didn't see his face, though. Son of a bitch was wearing some kind of gas mask. What the hell? Come on, guys, give me something. You know, like surprise or something? Instead, it was Santa who looked surprised. There was a moment of silence, and then everyone spoke at once. Yeah, I saw him too. Me too. He was wearing a gas mask. Shocker. As stories were sorted out, the truth became clear. All of their stories were the same. They had been abducted at home at midnight. The person claiming to be Zero had worn a mask. There had been white smoke, and then each person had passed out. When they awoke, they had found themselves on D deck in a room with a 3-level bunk bed. Only Seven's story seemed to lack the detail of the others. Oh, me? Yeah, well, mine was just like the rest of yours. That was all he had to said. It occurred to Junpei at the time that it sounded somewhat strange, but he didn't press the issue. He hadn't done so because there was something that struck him as even stranger. That was the mystery of the relationship between Snake and Clover. For some reason, they had been abducted in the same... They awoke in the same room. Junpei looked at them thoughtfully. So what's the deal with the two of you, anyway? It was Clover that answered. Clearly, she felt that she had nothing to hide. We're siblings. Okay, you don't look it. Yes? Snake is my older brother. Obviously, that means I'm his little sister. Is that really so hard to understand? Junpei was taken aback. The others seemed just as surprised. She is correct, of course. He laid his hand on Clover's shoulder. Are you surprised? Well, yeah, but why? There are other people here with connections to one another. Those two, for instance. Snake pointed at Junpei and June. Oh, you mean between Jumpy and me? Ah, yes. You did say you were childhood friends, didn't you? You went to school together. Yeah? June glanced at Junpei, uncomfortable with the sudden attention. Junpei felt somewhat nervous as well, and tried to scratch his head as casually as possible. Hey, you think maybe we could figure out who Zero is this way? Yeah, you're right. You connect the dots between the victims, and that leads you to the perp. Textbook stuff. Oh. Junpei, June, does any of this ring a bell? Ring a bell? Ring a bell. They looked at one another, and it was, unlike it was staged, they both tilted their neck at the same time. Well, perhaps you went to school with the son of a multimillionaire? A millionaire? Son? Well, someone bought this boat and set up all of this. Whoever Zero is, they must be incredibly rich. Well, we can't be sure of that. To me, this seems as though it's the work of an organization, not an individual. Zero is most likely simply the representative of a larger group. What sort of organization? It could be a number of things, an army perhaps, or a research group. Perhaps this is some sort of psychological experiment. If it is, then it's a pretty fucked up experiment. I mean, come on, a guy's dead! Yes, but he kind of deserved it. I didn't like him anyway. He was a bit of a prick. Just let it go. The word dead hung in the air heavy and ominous. The room went quiet again. I don't know who the hell this Zero asshole is, but I know for sure he's gonna be pretty fucked up in the head to do all this. If this was all one guy, then he's got some serious issues. Well, I think it is one guy. Even with the specter of death hanging over them, the discussions continued for some time. In the end, however, they learned nothing. By the time they finished, 1.5 of their 9 hours were gone. All they had to show for it was impatience. Man, look, we only got 7.5 hours left, okay? You really sure you want to just sit around? No one was willing to argue this time. Very well, then. There's only one way for us to proceed. Sure not gonna be fun running around knowing we gotta jump when Zero says, jump. Well, stupid to just sit around here doing nothing. Thanks to Snake's card, at least we have some idea of how this all works. Correct, and so long as we follow the rules, we should, we'll almost likely be alright. But what? Who's going to go in which door? June looked toward the numbered doors. Oh yeah, that's right. We can't have any more than 5 people in one door. All 8 of us can't go in the same door. Then it would seem we have to split up. But wait! Lotus looked terrified. I'm telling you now, there is no way in hell that I'm going into door 5. Come now, don't be selfish. Call me whatever the hell you want, I'm not going in there. If I'm going to have to walk through all that blood, then I'd rather stay here. And we were doing so well. Ace shook his head sadly. Sorry, but I ain't going in there either. Someone else can go into door 5. Oh, Santa, not you too. Hey man, I just bought these shoes. If you think I'm getting some creepy dude's blood all over them, you got another thing coming. Think coming? Okay. That was the last straw. What the hell, man? Weren't you the one who kept saying we should get going? Yeah, so? Doesn't mean I wanted to go into door 5. Oh, God. There was an awkward silence. Finally, 7 spoke. Fine, I'll go into door 5. I can't go in there alone, though. Anyone else willing to come with me? There was another long silence. This time, Snake was the one to break it. I'll go. What? Don't worry, you'll be fine. We may part now, but I'm certain we'll meet again later. How do you know that? Because I do. That's not an answer. If you're going, I'm going too. I'm going into door 5. What am I going to do with you? There's nothing you have to do. He stepped forward. If I join you, the problem is solved, correct? 7 is 7, and Snake is 2. And if you add Clover's 4 and my 1, the digital root will be 5. 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 equals 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. Oh, it works perfectly. The 4 of us can go into door 5. Wait, what about the other 4? What's their digital root gonna be? Junpei did a quick mental calculation. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei remained. Their bracelet numbers were 8, 3, 6, and 5. 8, 3, 6, 5. The digital root would be... Okay, so 8 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5. 8 plus 3 is 11. 22. It will be 4. Because 8 and 3 is 11. 6 and 5 is 11. It'll be 4. 8, yep. It's 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. Got it! He repeated what he determined. It's 4. Add up our 4 bracelet numbers, and the digital root is 4. Then we can go into door 4. Yeah, huh? That worked out well. Junpei ran over the team assignments, and his head went over one more time. 4 people go into door 5. 7, Snake, Clover, and Ace. 4 people go into door 4. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei. Sort of like Junpei. Let's go with Junpei. Junpei had to ask himself if the teams were what he really wanted. Beyond door 5 was what remained of the 9th man. He never wanted to see that thing again, but something in him said it would be unwise to examine the corpse even a little closer. Of course, if he went through door 5, he wouldn't be going with Lotus and Santa. True, it would be possible for him to bring June with him through door 5, but that would mean she would have to see the horrific carnage that awaited there. Junpei didn't want that. Junpei was torn. Should he stay silent and go through door 4? Or should he stop them all and insist on door 5? As he turned his options over and over in his head, Ace spoke up. Alright then, it seems we've reached a conclusion. Shall we go? He began to walk toward door 5. Clover and Snake followed with 7 a short distance behind. Junpei, which door do you want to go through? Oh, fuck! Why does it have to be door 5? Decided that had to be door 5, maybe? Hey, wait. Junpei's cry echoed across the room. The 4 people walking toward the door stopped and turned back toward him. I want to go through door 5 too. The words were scarcely out of his mouth when June spoke up. What? What are you saying, Jumpy? If you're going through that door, then I'm going with you. He turned and ran to look at her. No, you can't. I can't take you with me. Why? Well, you know what's in there, don't you? Are you sure you want to see that? June opened her mouth as if to say something, but instead closed it again and looked at the floor. Junpei felt an ache in his chest at her clear distress, but... Okay, the choice was not his to make. There was nothing else he could do. Junpei turned away from June, doing his best to silence his turbulent emotions. Please, let me go into door 5. 7 scratched his head and looked at the young man. Man, now we're right back where we started, you know that? Junpei's bracelet number is 5, right? If we're going to add Junpei, then we must subtract 5 from the rest of us. Snake turned to Ace. Ace, please take good care of Clover. Oh, alright. That's fine. 1 plus 4 equals 5. Don't go away. You need to listen to me, Clover. Go to door 4 with the others. No, don't be so selfish. Snake's tone was harsh. Tears welled up in Clover's eyes. She bit her lip and did her best to fight them off. Snake's expression softened, and he put his arms around Clover, and he held her close and whispered into her ear, "You'll be fine. Just relax." It looked as though he whispered 2 or 3 more words, but whatever they were, Junpei didn't hear them. He couldn't help but wonder what the other man had said. Snake pulled back from his sister, his eyes kind and inquiring. querying. Okay, I understand. Her voice was barely audible from where Junpei stood. So, I'm going... Before long, new teams were assembled. Those going into door 5, 7, Snake, and Junpei. 7 plus 2, blah, 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 you know, the math. Those going to door 4, Lotus, Santa, June, a single over. Okay, I like it. 7, Snake, and Junpei scanned their numbered bracelets in quick succession. The screen of the red showed 3 asterisks. Alright then, let's go. Junpei glanced around one last time, his hand resting on the lever of the red. Okay, please be careful. Concern was written plainly across her face. Junpei looked her in the eye and gave what he hoped was a reassuring nod. He pulled the lever. In we go! To see the bloody mess that is that man. With a sharp clack of the lock releasing, the door swung open ahead of them in the small hallway with the pitiful remains of the 9th man. For a moment Junpei froze. Try as he might, his eyes would not leave the corpse, and his feet would not leave the floor. 7, too, seemed paralyzed. I want to see the actual body. Snake, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned. He walked calmly down the bloody hallway, and only stopped when he realized his companions were not following. Do you intend to kill me? I assume you haven't forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you? He hadn't even bothered to turn around. His head was, at most, slightly cocked toward one shoulder. Junpei and 7 looked at one another, nodded, and threw themselves through the door. As they did, a cold tone sounded from the left wrists of all 3 men. 7 and Junpei looked down at their bracelets. On both of them, and on Snake's a red skull had flickered to life. The detonator had begun its countdown. They had scarcely processed this information when... There's blood all over that wall, too. With the metallic slam, the numbered door behind them swung shut. Unless they could find the device that would deactivate the detonators on their wrists, they would not be able to leave the hallway. Hey, where's the dead? The fear and urgency in 7's face reflected what all 3 of them felt. Junpei spun around, searching desperately for the dead. He found it easily enough. It was on the wall next to the closed door labeled 5. Found it! Right here! As he yelled, he struck the scanner with his hand. The other 2 scrambled to follow suit. As soon as they finished, Snake threw the lever down. Look at that! We're okay! Whew! Well, it looks like it stopped. As he spoke, Junpei wiped the sweat from his forehead with a trembling hand. Goddamn thing's gonna give me a heart attack! A muscle stood out in 7's neck, and the corners of his mouth were twitching. Junpei, are you alright? Are you guys okay? They could hear anxious voices, muffled but distinct, from the other side of the door. Yeah, we're fine. The detonators have been deactivated. They heard relieved sighs, and even through the door, the 3 men could feel the tension disperse. Alright, we're moving on. Be careful, okay? Okay, sure thing. Woo! They heard the footsteps moving away, and before long they were alone again. Junpei looked around. The hallway had a dead end 20 or 30 feet from where they stood. A thick iron wall blocked their way. Try as they might to force it, the wall refused to move. To the left, however, was a wooden door that looked positively inviting by comparison. 53 first class. In the middle of it was a plaque that read first class. A first class cabin, huh? Well, it seems like it. Let's have a look then, shall we? Interesting. Without hesitation, Snake opened the door and stepped inside. 7 followed closely behind him. Junpei moved to follow him as well, but he stopped just short of the threshold and looked back, not knowing why. Lying in the small hallway was a man's body, or at least what was left of it. He tried hard to avoid looking at the grisly scene, but it just wouldn't leave his mind. What had once been a man's internal organs now looked like so much vomit, as though something had chewed up and spit out the better part of his torso. It was hideous, but worse still, it was cruel. It was hard to believe that the thing on the floor had once been human. That black pool of thick blood. The lumps of glistening flesh spread across floor. The awkward, twisted tangle of shredded intestines. The head wretched to some grotesque, unnatural position. The man's glasses lay next to his head. The lenses were cracked and the frame bent and distorted. and next to the glasses lay a bracelet, though number 9 still displayed on its face. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1, you escape from the ship. 2, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside of the confinements of the ship, or it detects the wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it'll shut down automatically. Ugh. Suddenly, Genpai felt his stomach convulse, and a knot of muscle gripped his throat. He clapped his hands over his mouth and ran to the first-class cabin, because he was about to vomit. The atmosphere changed immediately. The room was gorgeous, and despite the apparent age of the ship, none the worse for wear. Woo! He looked around. Seven and Snake were nowhere to be seen. There were 2 doors on the right side of the room. He opened the one on his right and went through. On the other side of the door was a short hallway. He jogged down the hallway, opened the door at the other end, and peeked through. There they were, to his right, busy examining something. He stepped through the door and walked toward them. What's up? Check this out. We found this thing here on the door. The red light's on. Does that mean it's locked? So I would assume. Is there any other way out? He looked around a little. Other than this door, we didn't find anything. So you're telling me that that unless we can open this door, yes, we won't be going anywhere. Junpei stepped away from the door, looked around the room. The room they were in looked like a bedroom. He figured the room he'd originally entered was the living room or whatever passed for one on this ship. Alright, let's find a way to open this door. Come on, guys. Gotta find a way to get out. Woo! We made it to our second Seek a Way Out segment. But we're gonna end the video here. Yes, I know we just made it to getting to, the time where we can, actually do something for once. But no, I'm gonna end the episode here for today because we are out of time. This is a longer episode than normal. So please comment, subscribe, tell me what you thought of the episode, and I hope you all are enjoying the 999 series. See you guys in the next one. Take care till then.